Welcome back to Sprague Homestead. So I know it's been a while, at least a good month since we've put a video out. So I just wanted to kind of take the time to kind of walk around, show you what's been going on here, which if you saw the last video, you know probably not a lot. I am feeling a bit better. It's kind of coming and going. There are days I feel great and no pain, no fatigue, no nothing. And other days it is a struggle to get out of bed. So, today is Thursday, the 5th. I think we'll probably get this up live tomorrow on Friday the 6th. Tomorrow I actually go in for a colonoscopy. Yay. Yay. So if you've had one before, you know that today is my no food and the lovely drink this evening that gets you ready for that. So today is going to be a light day for me. Again, just getting ready for that. Hopefully, after this, we'll have some kind of answers. I did meet with the surgeon about a week and a half ago for a consultation. He kind of looked at some stuff, and he's not real sure that this is going to find anything. So, I don't know. We're going to go from there after this. There's been a talk of a couple of different tests. There's always a chance that this is some kind of ovarian cyst, although now going into my second month of not feeling good, that's looking less and less likely, so we're not real sure. But enough with that negative stuff. I do want to thank everybody who's sent me an email or posted on the last video or sent me a private message to the Facebook page. Your thoughts and prayers are appreciated. It's been kind of a tough time as we try to figure out, what is going on with me and what that means for the homestead. If you've been around for very long, you know that I am kind of the primary driving force around here, and I do a lot of the, food production, and it's my job to decide what we're doing with the animals, and I build a lot of stuff. So, me being a little bit out of commission this summer has kind of been a bummer deal. Luckily, it happened after the garden was pretty much planted. So I've been kind of heading into the harvest here, trying to take it easy. Did get some canning done already this year. Probably not drag any of that out, but my first batch of pickled jalapenos, which I am so excited about. And I did some tomato bruschetta in a jar, which we will see. They say about 6 to 8 weeks of letting it kind of mellow in the jar before you try and eat it. So that's going to be something that, I only did a small batch, only like 6, 7 jars, because nobody likes it when a canning recipe that you're using for the first time goes horribly, horribly awry. So cold weather is coming. We saw next week 60s with some overnights near freeze, which for me means guaranteed freeze down here. So if you can kind of see, I am sitting in the greenhouse, future greenhouse, the hoop house, that I know a lot of people have been asking, where is part 2? Part 2 is coming, and I'll show you why that's going to be such a big deal here in a minute. You can kind of sort of see one of my many squash plants in here, but if we don't get a cover on this, we're not going to have anything. And my cucumbers are just finally starting to make some cukes big enough to actually make some pickles. So we are talking about maybe Sunday if I am feeling better, because of course if you've had a colonoscopy, a lot of people will tell you for the first couple of days you don't feel so good. So that means Friday, which is tomorrow, is going to be, a done deal. I have to be there in the morning. And then on Saturday, I may or may not be feeling much better. I know I'm going to be hungry as all get out. But by Sunday, hopefully, I can get Kanan out here and he can help me. We've just got a frame in the back end. Part of the reason that's taken so long is I have changed the plan like 5 times. I was going to put a window in it. I was convinced that I wasn't going to get enough airflow. Then I wasn't going to put anything in the back, and then decided on the chance that we'd hit 100 degrees next summer. Of course, this year we didn't. I don't want to burn everything either. So I think I've come up with a plan kind of in between, but it is going to take somebody to help me because I'm really not supposed to be lifting a whole lot right now. So that hopefully is going to come out on Sunday. Hopefully I'll get Kanan out and we'll start working on it. And I guess that's all that's kind of going on with my health and that good little bit of business and what I've got coming up immediately. Like I said, most of the days I'm feeling pretty good, but let's get past that and show you what we've actually been getting done around here. All right, so this is once again back in the hoop. You can kind of see this is all squash, and these down here are cucumbers. I've got some okra and some sweet potatoes in the back that are doing okay. They don't really like the wild temperature fluctuation, but I am getting some okra. So these squash were kind of one of those oopsies. I had them labeled in the greenhouse. Had a little bit of wind come through a broken panel and blew my tags out because I was just using some paper tags. So I had no idea what was left. I just planted a whole bunch of squash out here and hoped for the best. Most of them turned out to be yellow squash. Yay. Kind of over the yellow squash thing, but they're straight and crooknecks. I did like 16 or 18 of them. Chopped up in the freezer, getting ready to be packaged for the winter. They're flash freezing right now. But I do have some other stuff. So I did get a Lakota squash, which is kind of buried down in here. But I do have some Lakota squash. And that kind of seems to be the gist of what's here. On the other side is my pickling cucumbers. That's all I grew is just picklers this year because that's what I wanted desperately is pickles. I'm getting some. With the cold weather that's coming, I don't know if I'm going to get enough to pickle. And if nothing else, I should be able to get at least a couple jars of refrigerator pickles. So that's at least something. So it's doing real well. Hopefully we can get a cover on it because they're saying in the next couple of weeks, if we can make it through the next little freeze spell, we're going to go right back into the upper 70s and hold in the 40s at night, which will mean the cucumber plants will stay going. So going to have to cross our fingers and hope we can make it through the next little bit. All right, so the mess you see behind me is the main garden. Because I hadn't been doing so hot, the weeds kind of got away from us. So most of the beds we've kept pretty clean or cleaned out enough that the vegetables are doing fine. The stuff in between the beds, I'm just not that worried about. It'll all die back anyway. This part of the garden, of course, this had pretty much our cold weather stuff. I'll go through and I'll show you some of this in a minute. Broccoli's been doing great. We actually got some potatoes. A couple of my potato plants died. They'd been in for a while. So we had potatoes. Carrots are doing phenomenal. In fact, next week, probably time to start harvesting them and getting them put up. And cabbages coming along good. Corn, don't want to jinx it. So don't want to jinx it. But the corn is starting to put out actual cobs. So will it get big enough? I don't know. Will I be covering it like mad Monday and Tuesday? Yes, I will. Because I feel like I'm just on the cusp of actually getting corn around here. And if you've followed us for any length of time, you know that corn has been absolutely my arch nemesis. Well, the domes have been doing exceptional. Probably the best tomatoes, peppers, and squash I've ever grown. Of course, those squash in that hoop greenhouse, pretty impressive. But my tomatillos for the first time, and I have been trying to grow them for a very long time. I've actually got a batch already in the freezer, waiting for enough of them to actually make some true, authentic salsa verde. So very excited about that. Tomatoes, tomatoes are funny. You get a few and you get a few more, and then all of a sudden they're everywhere. So we could not eat them fast enough. The ones that were coming in here and there, I've just been coring them out, freezing them. They're all going to go to sauce anyway. So I've got a huge bag of them in the freezer starting to go. And I've got probably twice that many sitting on the washer in a bowl right now that I need to probably deal with today. And then you'll see, it's time to harvest them again. So let's go in and take a quick look at what's going on in the domes. Okay, so this is Dome 1. Some of this stuff, like these banana peppers, which were not supposed to be banana peppers, have kind of harvested themselves out. There's a couple left on there. lunchbox peppers. Looks like I've got some red peppers coming on, some sweet reds. And there is one of the many, where are you? There you are. Many butternut or buttercup squash. Got a whole bunch of them. They're kind of hard to see. They're tucked in everywhere. Almost ready. Not quite yet. Bell peppers. Whole bunch of radish that I'm letting go to seed because I'm out of radish seed. And these guys here are banana squash, which I've never grown before. There's a whole bunch of those. They're not ready yet either. More bells. You can see the tomatoes. I am harvesting tomatoes like every other day. And I swear I'll pick them. I'll even pick them where they're not quite ready yet. And by the next day, they're, you know, totally red. This sad looking thing is butternut squash. Some of these plants look a little sad. We haven't watered in here yet today. It's starting to put out some squash. Butternut's a really slow grower for me. I may not even bother with it next time because buttercup is doing so much better. Some more tomatoes. You can kind of see them all needing to be harvested. More peppers back there. And then I've got some zucchini up on that other side, which currently is about zucchini'd out, thankfully. They've gone so big, so fast, so hard that I've had to be feeding them like crazy because they've just depleted themselves. They're depleting every bit of nutrients in the thing, but you can kind of see some of those little 8 balls there. There's one there, and there is one of the butternuts that have made it to this bed. All right, here is the second dome. Again, more tomatoes, more turning orange. My little long Ichiban type eggplants, they're doing pretty well. Lots of them. This is all jalapenos. I've been picking jalapenos like crazy. We'll see how much we get out of it. These are my acorn squash. I've picked a whole bunch of them already. But this one plant on the end appears to be some kind of crossbreed. We think it's a butternut crossed with an acorn, and it's seed that I got from a packet. So anyway, it's definitely a winter squash. They're hardening up nice. There you can see my tomatillos, and you can kind of see some of them are turning brown, getting papery. Time to pick them off. Again, I'm not getting them enough all at one time, so I'm doing what I'm doing with my tomatoes and saving them for sauce. You can kind of see all those jalapenos on these plants. I grew, I think, 12 jalapeno plants this year because I hadn't had any in a while that did very well, and I've been picking them like crazy. They don't get very big because we're growing them in a raised bed kind of tight, but they're very prolific. So even though you don't get the super long ones, at least I'm getting something. There's more zucchini. This zucchini's in the same boat. I've been feeding her like crazy, but quite frankly, it's put out so many squash. It's just had trouble keeping up. Some more tomatoes. And these little babies are the hottest little things. They're called a Cajun bell pepper. We stuffed some of them. You can see them bright red ones down in there. Those are hot cherry peppers. I have sweets in the other dome with the other sweet peppers, but got to pick a bunch of those to make hot pepper relish. Looks like I've got some eggplant that are once again about ready. And more tomatillos. I did 2 beds of them, just trying to get enough for a canning batch of salsa verde, and I don't think that's going to be any kind of problem this year. Okay, so in this next little bit, I'm going to talk about it out here and then go in. We're a little late on feeding this morning, and so the roosters are singing quite a song. You can probably hear them in the background, but as soon as I get next to those houses, it's going to be chaos. So one thing I did not do this spring, because I was already feeling a little off and a little busy, I never started my incubator. So if you've watched along for very long, you know that I typically hatch chickens, ducks, and turkeys. And for one reason after another, I just didn't get to it. So we hadn't done meat birds in a while. We didn't do any last year. Um, so the freezer was kind of getting a little empty on chicken. Of course, we always have tons of rabbit meat. It's pretty similar. You can do the same stuff with it. I'm still working on my rabbit cookbook for those of you that have been asking. Um, but there's just something about throwing some chicken wings in the crock pot and making hot wings that you just can't do with rabbit legs. We've tried it with the little front legs on the rabbit, and it's just not the same. I don't know that there's much of a difference in taste, but it's just not the same. So we decided, all right, we're going to get some meat chickens. A number of you have been asking us if we're going to start raising and selling meat birds. Kind of the long and short answer to this is maybe. What we're doing this year is we got in 50 birds. I think we've got 46 left. You know, you always lose a few. We're raising them exclusively on feed. And I know some of you are at home groaning, going, oh my God, I don't want to buy grain-fed birds. Well, they're always going to be at least partially grain-fed here anyway. But we are trying to get a baseline of if we grow them entirely on feed, and I like the feed we use Payback. It's a pretty decent feed. If I grow them entirely on feed, I need to know exactly what it's going to cost me. Of course, if we can get them out early enough in the year and do some free range stuff, or not free range, but some mobile pens, it's going to drop the overall price of them. But I have to be able to know exactly what they're going to cost me in the long run if I have to go exclusively to feed, because I have to know if it's worth my time. We're living in an area where, quite frankly, $4 a pound chicken, not going to fly here. It's just not. This is a big beef area. People aren't afraid to go, get the $1 a pound, chicken house broilers when they're on sale at Fred Meyer's or Walmart. So I have to put out a product that's going to be clean and competitive. So that's what we're trying to find out, is what it's actually going to cost us if we're just growing them on feed, and then being able to adjust from there. Chickens can only really forage for about 25% of their calorie needs. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, you can completely grass feed them. No, you can't. What does the trick with grass feeding or being out on pasture is the fact that it's not just grass they're eating. They can get bugs and different stuff, but they can only actually take 25% of their calorie needs from grass. So knowing that, we'll be able to kind of play with the numbers and adjust once we have our baseline. On top of this, like I said, I didn't hatch anything, but that didn't mean that we didn't let some of the birds hatch. Now, domestics, depending on what breed they are, really don't do that. Our ducks attempted to set a couple times this year, and we just kind of let them go. They're newbies at it. We weren't sure they were going to do anything. We got 2 ducklings the first time. They're out there with the meat chickens, which I'll show you in a second. And then Kanan just brought me in 4 the other night. So we have some Swedish ducks right now that we'll probably just raise up and butcher this fall. I really didn't plan on any ducklings. In fact, we were planning to phase out our ducks entirely, and now we're kind of backpedaling on it. So not sure what we're going to do there. The turkeys, however, did not do so hot at hatching. Our whites in the past have done pretty well. So far, they hatched 1 that by itself, because it was too small to put with the meat birds, it didn't make it. So I am going to try to get the incubator going this weekend for 1 hatch and 1 hatch only of anything that we've got. With the cooler weather, the turkeys have all started laying again, so we do have quite a bit of eggs that I can hatch. So we're probably going to go ahead and do that. But let me take you in and kind of show you what's going on with the birds. What you might notice is that the building that they're in is going to be the waterfowl building. It's basically the goose area that we haven't put the geese in yet. So I have been feeling good enough. I finished off that building and got doors on the front of it. And now it's home to some delicious growing chickens. Okay, so beyond dealing with the gardens and the new chickens, we have been doing some fence posts. Not a whole lot, not as many as we'd planned. We do have the bobcat kind of indefinitely at this point, which is a whole story in and of itself, but it'll be staying here for a while. You can kind of hear the boys are in rut, the bucks behind the camera, which doesn't work. But so this front pen that we talked about, we're going to be raising the fence up to over 6 feet for Champy. That's the Pyrenees cross that we got last year that can't seem to stand a fence, who is doing better, but just not enough that we can trust her being out unsupervised. So you can see we've got the 6-foot T-posts behind us. These are all the original ones, and then we've come in and we've put 8s in next to them. Part of the reason we did this rather than just pull the whole darn fence down is we still use this pasture quite a bit. So what we've done is we put the big posts in line. What we're going to do and have been doing is we're taking all the fence clips off, pulling the old post, clipping the fence onto the new post, and then moving down. So once all that's done, we do have a couple of corner posts that aren't quite tall enough that are going to have to be probably chain wrapped with the tractor and pulled out. Probably clean the hole out and then put new posts in, and then we will be ready. Hopefully this fall. So after this weekend, next weekend, my cousin, one of my younger cousins, is getting married, and I have been hard at work. If you follow us on Instagram, you know I've been working on an Afghan, full-size queen Afghan blanket for their bed as a wedding gift. I'm almost done. Keep your fingers crossed. I'm in the home stretch. But after next weekend, the wedding is over. That part of things are done. I'm going to have a lot more free time, hopefully. On top of hopefully having an answer why I don't feel good and a plan of action to get feeling a little bit better. I have 2 rabbit shows right after that, one in Redmond, Oregon, and then one in Grants Pass, Oregon. The Homestead show is this weekend. I had to cancel, of course. Couldn't make the drive all the way out there. And then I'm pretty much working on just projects here, getting the rabbits ready for the ARBA convention, which is the 18th through the 23rd down in Reno. So if you're anywhere near Reno, come down and see me. There will be 1 million people there and 1 billion bunnies. But if you look through the Harlequins and Triantas, possibly even the Americans, you should find some of my rabbits there. I haven't made the final decision on the Americans yet, but so that's kind of what's been going on. Kanan is doing some amazing work on my Suburban, which I will show you guys as soon as it's done. If you follow us on any of our other media, then you've probably kind of seen the beginning of it, but I don't want to give it away here. So that is it, I believe, from Sprague Homestead. Thanks for hanging in there. I know this has been a really long update because it's been over a month. But if you have any questions, anything I didn't cover, anything I mentioned before that we didn't cover, just drop them down in the comments section. I will be letting you all know as soon as I know what the results of this colonoscopy and testing is. So hopefully nothing, and yet I kind of want them to find something just so we kind of have an idea of what the heck the problem is without more tests. But it is what it is. So that's it from today, and we will see you next time. Hang in there. Happy homesteading. We'll catch you later.